Good morning, universe, and welcome to another episode of the Rabbinic Cynic. I'm your host, Rabbi Andrew Allen Bentley, Rabbi Dude. Just Andrew to my friends. Don't call me Andy. I hate Andy, and my wife hates Rabbi Andy even more. Today I want to talk about two things. The first thing is yesterday I was on a little bit of a rant about Israel and the importance of why Israel for the Jewish people. Why is that our particular homeland, right? So I'm using the word particular because that's my theme today. Particularism versus universalism. What does that exactly mean? And you see in the description, my question is, why don't rabbis, why don't the Jewish people in general seek out proselytize, right? Seek out to convert people to Judaism. I think it's an interesting question because we see in a lot of other religions, the idea is that you want to bring as many people, like Islam and Christianity, they want to bring as many people into their religion as possible. But with Judaism, that's not the case. If a rabbi, if someone comes to me and says, I want to convert to Judaism, I'm actually been trained to say no 3 times. We say no 3 times. The first time, we just like, why would anyone want to be Jewish? Why would you want to be Jewish? Have you read our history? The second time, we find another reason. And if they come back a third time and someone shows they're really committed, then you go through a year process, sometimes more, to convert to Judaism. And that varies. It varies on how much knowledge you have of Judaism, why you want to be Jewish, whether there's a lot of cases where people are doing DNA tests today and discover that they may actually be Jewish. I know a number of people who have come to me and said, well, I look at my DNA and I was raised in an environment that was not Jewish. I didn't know. I heard about the possibility. I have some relatives, so in those cases, usually when someone is Jewish genetically, the conversion might be made easier for them in those cases. But there's still a process that you have to go through, and different denominations of Judaism have different processes. I just want to say prosy is a cool word. I love making words that are not grammatically correct and turn them upside down. I digress. So the question is, why don't we seek out to bring, if we're such a fantastic, Judaism is such a fantastic faith, we're such a fantastic people, we're the chosen people, we've talked about it a little bit before, that chosen doesn't necessarily mean that we're singled out. We just have a certain role, right? There can be different people are chosen for different reasons, right? But there is a foundational reason in Judaism that we do not seek out to convert people. That is not the mission of most rabbis, right? You see, and so it goes all the way back to the description of how we became a people that is from the 5 books of Moses, from the Hebrew Bible. And so when you go through the Hebrew Bible, you see it doesn't begin with the founder of monotheism, which is Abraham, and then Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob for the Jewish people. It starts with Adam and Eve, and the story of creation, the story of humanity. Then you get to the flood, and you get to Noah, right? And that very first passage in the story of Noah says, and Noah was a righteous person in his time, right? And we all know that the world was destroyed by a flood, and the rainbow was that promise that there would never be another worldwide destruction. God would never destroy the world again, and we saw the rainbow. Last time we saw a rainbow like that was when Her Majesty the Queen died. That's just a kind of an off-taste joke, but so the rainbow came to symbolize that promise to mankind, the promise to mankind of a future without destruction, which doesn't necessarily correspond to world history, but so far no meteorite or there hasn't been any fire rain that has destroyed the earth. If any kind of destruction that might occur probably is of our own, would be of our own occurrence, unless we can't figure out how to move those asteroids just a little bit that are going through space. But that's another point entirely. But with Noah, we saw something very interesting happen. That the first time that God ever gave commandments, other than to Adam and Eve, not to eat from the apple, but or from the tree of life, tree of knowledge. But the real commandments that formed the foundation for human society, for modern society, were not the 10 Commandments, but rather the 7 Noahide laws. Right, that were basic laws of morality, not killing, not don't just slit the throat of a donkey or of a sheep and just drink their blood. Vampires, there's a new vampire series coming out. So the 7 Noahide laws were given to all of humanity to keep. And then we get to, then we see the Tower of Babel, right? The story of the Tower of Babel, right? Which is this idea that humanity kind of got all jumbled up, right? We tried to build a tower to reach God, which in itself was kind of an insane idea. The idea that you could actually reach the infinite, that's the concept, caused about a jumbling of all the languages, and that's why everybody speaks different languages. Well, that's a metaphorical reason why everybody speaks different languages. Even though they came together for common purpose, one would say that they were doing it out of ego. That's one of the answers given. But at the same time, and Abraham kind of came out of that, this idea, the world lost their idea of monotheism. That's kind of the point of Abraham, is that Abraham, in a world that lost that basic morality, decided that that he and his family would, as people of faith, would go out and create a new paradigm for society. So fast forward to the 21st century and how Judaism has evolved throughout the years. So when someone comes to a rabbi to convert, right, we say you don't need to convert. If you follow the 7 Noahide laws, right, which means that you basically live a good life, that you live a life looking at trying to see the big picture, that you are a good person, that you believe in God, or you believe in a higher power, however your definition of God, and specifically if you are a member of a monotheistic religion, if you're a Christian or a Muslim, I would suggest Hindu, Buddhists, and all of the world religions. If you follow those, then you're already following the Noahide laws. That you don't need to become Jewish to fulfill that. The concepts of justice, the concepts of living in a world of justice, of creating a better world, of seeing the divine image, which I believe is the ikar, which is the essential criteria for saying that I believe in the Noahide laws. I'm hanging that up. You see, that was my Doctor Who theme. I'm going to talk about Doctor Who in a minute. But if you already follow that basic, the morality of humanity, of humanism, then you don't need to convert. We're not looking out to convert you. If you want to be Jewish, and you really, really want to take on 613 mitzvot, the 613 commandments rather than 7, then go for it. Come to me 3 times, and I will possibly convert you. Now I'm associated with a synagogue out here in the Coachella Valley. I could do it online too. We will talk about that, but I'm gonna tell you no at least twice, and make sure you can know the real reasons. Because if you are already following these type of principles, then you just don't need to be Jewish, because you're already there. You're already there. That's the idea of universalism. This universalism is that, again, I'm not saying the Jewish people are anything special. I'm Jewish if you want to become a Jew by choice, that's wonderful. But at the same time, you really got to know what you're getting in for, because it's not easy being Jewish, as we know from our history. And that's probably a lot of the reason why we don't encourage conversion, because, why would you want to put yourself into that situation? But at the same time, we don't discourage it. And there are other situations, familial reasons, when we have interfaith couples where one of the couples really wants to raise their children in one faith. That's the faith of Judaism. If that is what the couple decides, that is encouraged. And then there's some other reasons why conversion's great. And again, as I said, anyone that converts for the right reasons is considered get tzedek, which means they're even more righteous than if you're born Jewish and you just fell into it and you follow it just because that's what your grandmother did and that's what your parents do. There's more to it than that. And that's why they're considered righteous. The righteous Jew by choice. One of the most famous of all was Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, who was the one who the Ten Commandments, the Torah portion where they gave the Torah, where the Torah was recited on Mount Sinai, was tablets of stone. When Charlton Heston stood up there, or the Batman, Christian Bale, if you wanted to see the modern version. Whichever version you think. Just kidding. But that Torah portion was named after someone that was considered a ger tzedek, was considered a righteous convert to Judaism. So there's a big lesson there, that you don't have to be Jewish to follow those principles, to follow the principles of that basic system of social justice, climate justice, justice for humanity, seeing the divine image in humanity, the brilliance of human beings. Brilliance, fantastic. And that's why I'm going to come into, I'm wearing my TARDIS, my Doctor Who t-shirt today. If you could see it, I'm going to show you. Look, it's the TARDIS. Don't you just love the TARDIS? I love the TARDIS. And so I want to talk a little bit about Doctor Who and why I chose to talk about Doctor Who while at the same time talked about humanity. And the universalism of humanity and that kind of basic moral code that seems to permeate through all of the different world religions, and so is represented in a lot of ways through Doctor Who, right? I know everyone. If you don't watch Doctor Who, you're going to be like, I don't watch Doctor Who. I don't even know what you're talking about. So just for those briefly who don't know what Doctor Who is. Doctor Who is a series that started on the BBC in the UK back in the early 60s. And those of us who are Brits, we grew up with Doctor Who. We just love, right? I grew up with the Tom Baker Doctor and some other doctors in the 80s, and it was very, very, very cheesy. And then they rebooted it after, I believe it was Fox, the movie production company. Bought the rights and destroyed it, tried to make it Hollywood and just fucked it up in a big way. And then back in the 2000s, the BBC got it back, and we got Christopher Eccleston, first Doctor from there, who was really the 10th Doctor or 9th Doctor. And then Doctor Who fans can really say, you got that wrong. And then David Tennant's my favorite Doctor. Tom Baker and David Tennant, my favorite Doctors. And then we go through that to today, where, the Doctor Who kind of sucks right now. I have to say, I'm really not a big fan of Doctor Who right now. Well, I watch it because I want to keep the show going, so I keep watching it. But I know, really excited that we're coming up to the anniversary. There's going to be a new Doctor. Right? And the Doctor is a man. He travels in time, man or woman, because the current Doctor is female. And the Doctor travels in the TARDIS, right? That's the TARDIS. It's a box. It's a police box. I remember those from growing up, but people may not remember them anymore. They don't exist anymore. And it's like, you would think, how can you travel in time? But because it's bigger on the inside. And it travels in time, and he goes through history. And it seems to be that all the pinnacle events in history happen in England. Or the United Kingdom, which is strange in itself, but it's a British show, so you have to accept that. But the great thing about the Doctor, who's a Time Lord, right, he's almost immortal, and he's lived through all these generations, he's seen all of time, is he keeps coming back to humanity. And he loves humanity, and at the same time, he fears humanity. Right, so I'm on like the 4th season right now, where the David Tennant, my favorite Doctor again, David Tennant's out there, and he's just running around. His brain fires, a genius. His brain fires at 1,000,000 miles a minute, but he keeps coming back to save the Earth. He saves humanity, either from themselves or from aliens. But what I think is really deep and profound about Doctor Who, and what I think resonates with so many people who love Doctor Who, who the Whovians out there, is that it takes an alien who is a lord of over time and space, and it sees him traveling throughout our history, him or her throughout our history, and illustrates why he's attracted to humanity is that we have such a capacity for love, generosity, and hate and destruction all at the same time. He either is angry with us, or he's trying to save us from ourselves, or we save him from himself. We save the Doctor from the Doctor, who has, he's a little bit detached sometimes. And so that's a big lesson that we learn, is that humanity itself we have so much potential. And, this sci-fi series that really brings it out in such a human way. It's like, you go down into, all of his companions are just very, very regular people from, regular places in London or in Scotland or Sheffield now, right? They're all from Sheffield. I love the fact that the Doctors, have Scottish accents now. And that first Doctor on the reboot was a Northerner. And they go, well, how do you have a Northern accent? Christopher Eccleston, they go, because, well, every planet has a north. Every planet has a north. So far, there has not been an American Doctor. And that's probably because of the BBC. But, obviously, John Barrowman, Torchwood, American, used to be my neighbor in Palm Springs. If you haven't seen that, was it was a sideshow for Torchwood. The word senior moments. You get over 50, you forget words. It is a spin-off from Doctor Who, and he was an American, but he was set in Dublin. Not Dublin, sorry, in Cardiff, in Wales. But that's it. That's the point, is that we have so much potential. Humanity has potential for so many amazing, there's so many things that we can do that we have already done. And I think that we need a show like Doctor Who and Star Trek and, shows that humanity has so much potential for good, but at the same time, we have to recognize that we have so much potential for destruction, right? There was that one episode where Harriet Jones, if you're a Doctor Who fan, she saved the world. She was just a kind of a minor backbencher in the British Parliament, and then became, there was an alien invasion, and she kind of all the leadership was killed, and this backbencher who was like just a regular person became Prime Minister, and the Doctor was like, oh, you're great, I love you, Harriet Jones. But then when there was another episode, another Christmas special, and these aliens came down to destroy Earth again, but the Doctor convinced them to run away because we defended, but she blew them up as they were running away. And the Doctor said, I can destroy you with 4 words. I think it was 4 words. Doesn't she look tired? 4 words, I think. It might have been 6. You can correct me again. But it just shows that we do have the potential for greatness, and we also have the potential for destruction. So that is, I think, a good message for the high holidays. The idea that as we approach in the high holidays, you can fulfill you don't have to be Jewish to fulfill the Noahide laws. We're not asking you to be, you just have to live a good life. You just have to live a life where you want to make this a better world. That's it. That's it. You're done. You don't have to convert, don't do anything. You're already there. And then watch Doctor Who at the same time. And there's a Torah in Doctor Who. I believe the Torah of Doctor Who. And so the Torah of Doctor Who is that capacity of humankind for greatness, but at the same time, we have to be aware that our capacity for greatness can also become a capacity for destruction. So with that, I'm going to bid you farewell until tomorrow for my this is the Thank God It's Friday episode, and I'm going to leave you with the sound of the shofar. High holidays coming up in a week and a half, the Jewish New Year. And here's the Tekiah, the Tuah, the Shvarim Tuah. And Doctor, if you're listening, just one trip to another planet, please. Just one trip, or to the future. Okay. I don't believe Doctor's listening. Live long and prosper, and have everybody have a beautiful Thursday. Bye. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe on my YouTube channel.